It's 9:03. Michelle, should we get started?
Yeah, let's get started. I'll just keep admitting people as they come on.
Okay, that would be great. So what you're all seeing right now, I think, is our the agenda that I sent out a couple days ago. Um, and so I'm going to switch screens. So I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to put on our PowerPoint. And the PowerPoint, I know people are tired of PowerPoints, but this one's just has just some information on it. So, and I just want you to have this because there's some links on there and it helps me as well. So anyway, welcome. Glad to have everybody here to the East Central Regional Transportation Coordinating Council meeting, the first meeting of our new fiscal year, 2023-24. We did receive the grant for a 2-year grant that will take us into 2025. But we will reapply, but it has already, I don't know, Michelle Lichtig, you could explain it better, but we don't really need to. All we need to know is we're set for 2 years, but things will change after this year as needed. But we are going to continue on till 2025. So I'm going to see if I can move this forward to the next one. What I'd like to ask everybody as we do introductions is, I don't want to take too much time here because I am going to try to cut this down to an hour. Oh my God, from 2 hours to an hour. I would like to have you explain a little bit about what you do in your work, since we do have new folks on board here. Um, and how is transportation a vital component in your life? And let me explain what this third point is. As this meeting progresses, I'd like you to consider the other folks that are here in the room and how you could possibly benefit from a connection with others that are here. How could that connection help you in your business or in your organization? Because the way I look at this RTCC is this is a conduit for all of us to be able to get to know one another, get contact information, and bring transportation into our region as a whole rather than silos. Okay. So let's just start here, and hopefully you guys don't bounce around like sometimes happens on my screen as new people come in. So I'm gonna start with Michelle, just because she's my cohort. She works with me at the RTCC, and she can probably get the ball rolling on this. If you don't mind, Michelle Thomas.
Sure. So, yep, Michelle Thomas with the East Central Regional Development Commission and the Transportation Coordinating Council. I split my time, and transportation is a vital component because we are out and about all the time and need to get to a variety of places within our region. And so it's vital for us. Do you want me to just pick someone, or do you want to just
Yeah.
do you want?
Oh, why don't you pick? Well, okay, I'm going to ask Bonnie to go next.
Yep. Okay.
Big smile. Hi, Bonnie.
Hey, thank you very much for inviting me to this meeting and to this organization. And my name is Bonnie Buchanan. I'm with Jefferson Bus Lines, and I've been with Jefferson for 45 years. So I've seen a lot of changes in inner city bus and in transportation in general. And of course, just to give you a quick overview of Jefferson, we're not a new company by any means. We've been in business since 1919 in Minnesota. And we continue to be a family-owned company, which I think gives us some advantages. We do serve more than 65 different communities, many of them rural, in Minnesota. Outside of Minnesota, we serve another 14 states, and we operate more or less in the middle part of America. We operate from Milwaukee to Spokane, Washington, from Duluth into Texas. So we cover that central part of the United States. And of course, the basis of our business is connections. And we work with more than 60 different bus companies. And of course, that includes Greyhound. And the inner city bus network has been going through tremendous challenges in the past few years, just as so many of you have with COVID. But then what happened to us this year was that Greyhound got sold, and they got sold to a German company. And I think eventually everything's going to get worked out, but they came in with a new ticketing system that we all share into. And it may have worked fine in Europe, where they were based, but we've had some real challenges here. But I think things are getting much better. I work on scheduling, and I also work on new projects and new markets. And I think one of the best untapped markets for inner city bus is the demand response service that's provided by rural transit. There's some challenges there to connect the two, because we cannot put that information into our existing ticketing system. But that's where developing relationships and looking for ways to share the information, to let people in your community know that they can go on demand response and make a connection with Jefferson to go to more than 2,300 different communities in the United States. Having said that, it's a simple statement, but it's very complex as far as how you get that information out. And getting it out to the local community is one thing. The real challenge is getting it out to people that might live in California and they want to go to a community in Minnesota not served by inner city bus. How do we let them know what's available, that they could call demand response and create a connection with inner city bus? So I look forward to being a part of the meeting and the organization, and I think I'll learn a lot about you guys. So thank you.
Thanks, Bonnie. And for those of you who are new and not sure about what demand response is, and it is what it sounds like. It's kind of like I don't know, Julia, you might want to help me out here, but is it like it's like a dial-a-ride. It's like you call and you call a bus service, and that they will come and pick you up per your phone call, versus a fixed route, which only goes a certain route.
Yeah, you're correct.
And at certain times.
At certain
Right.
times, exactly. Well, so Julia, would you like to go next?
Sure. So I'm Julia Dupla. I'm with Arrowhead Transit. I manage Isani, Chisago, and Pine counties. So a lot of the east central area. And transportation's vital because people need it. They have a rough time getting into towns and all that in rural communities. And we do what we can to get as many people into medical appointments and food and whatnot to keep life sustainable.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Julia. Glad to have you here. Looking forward to seeing you at the fair this year.
Oh yeah, I'm excited.
I am too. You're a lot of fun. Let's see where we going next. Kathy Bursky, welcome. I'm glad you're here.
Hello, I don't know that Helen is able to be on today, but I am Kathy Bursky. I am the director of Kanabec County Community Health, but in Kanabec County, transit falls under the health department. So Helen is the transit director for Timber Trails Public Transit, but I support her in all of her work. And we do operate here in Kanabec County as a demand response system. So the routes are built around people's needs on a daily basis. And it does have some limitations based on funding and our plan that gets sent to MnDOT and the requirements around MnDOT. But we do our best to meet the needs. We are looking at trying to potentially pilot a program, going to make application with Central Minnesota Council on Aging for some assisted transit to maybe to try and reach those the areas that are not served through MnDOT. So looking at that for 2024, if our application is successful. I guess that's what I have for you.
Kathy, if we can be of any help with your application, with our connection, with with Michelle Lichtig and with MnDOT in general, please allow us to do any letters of support well, we've got Michelle Lichtig on the call today too, so that might help with getting your application approved, which I'm sure won't be a problem for you anyway, but just FYI, okay?
Well, the problem will be the limited funds that CMCOA has, and it has to get spread around the region. So we'll see what happens. We
Okay.
can't win if we don't play.
Absolutely. Thanks, Kathy. Natalie, do you want to go next?
Sure, probably Kathy's update is a good segue to me. I'm Natalie Mathewson. I am the Community Development Supervisor with Central Minnesota Council on Aging. And as far as transportation vital component in my life, part of it is more of it is the professional life with the work that we do with the Council on Aging. We are one of 6 area agencies on aging in the state of Minnesota. And part of my work with development is working with communities and agencies like yours. If you're looking at if there's service needs, like Kathy mentioned, service needs, talking about what funding sources are out there, one of which is Title III. And as Kathy mentioned, we do have open bid round right now for 3 of the 4 Title III programs that we have, which includes the Title IIIB, which is at home care services, including assisted transportation, like Kathy mentioned. Title IIID, which is the evidence-based classes that are offered. And then E, which is caregiver support services. So I know Kathy's connected because you've been working with Title III programming for a while. So you probably talk directly to Amanda Chantel in our office. But what we do with development is we kind of are that point of contact of let's talk about what it is that that you're thinking about doing, that you want to do. I've already done that with Karen and Michelle over this last year, of thoughts that you have of what you're wanting to do, needing to do. And are there current funding sources at the state level, regionally, or other places that might connect, be beneficial to what you're looking at doing. So I think that's probably also my connection to people. So if I talk to people all the time, if they're like, okay, we're new to the area or we're not new to the area and we're thinking about doing this program, I can sit down and have a conversation and just really process through what you're thinking and some ideas. So Kathy, I know that you're connected to Amanda and at the office, but if you have any questions or want to chat, I'd be happy to do that as well.
Natalie's a great lunch partner, and we get a lot of get a lot of things done over lunch. Thank you. Tom, hi, welcome. Would you like to introduce yourself? Oh, you're muted. There you go.
There, I'm Tom Lawler, and I think my early role here will be as a sponge, learning the complete aspects of the organization. I've been on the ECRTCC for probably I'm going to say about 10, 12 years now. So I'm excited to, as I'm closing in on retirement, to see this transportation and get a good handle on what's going on and give you my input from that aspect.
And would you like to let people know where you're from, what county you're from, and what you do?
I am from Chisago County. I am the public interest rep for the board. And currently I am a gambling manager for a nonprofit, which I've been doing for about 15 years. And I've been on a local charity board for about 30 years now. So kind of have good roots in the community that I'm in. And I've liked expanding out and working in the areas. And I think this is just going to be a fantastic opportunity.
Well, thank you, Tom. Really glad to have you here. Sarah, welcome. Glad to have you here with us. I know you got roped into this at the RDC meeting a little bit, but I hope you find it beneficial.
Yeah, that was kind of weird how that happened. I think it's that good old story of you should just stay quiet. Don't say anything. Anyway, my name is Sarah Triber. The reason I'm on this committee is because I happen to be on the RDC board as the Knabec County Public Interest. And we happen to be discussing this committee needing more volunteers. The Mille Lacs Corporate Ventures portion of it, which is the business arm of Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe. I work in the development department, so I do business development. And as part of business development, we are also trying to create and develop things in the community that would help our associates. So we build daycare facilities, and we are also in the business of providing affordable housing. And that's my end of it. So I help develop affordable housing in the region, particularly in our districts. We have one affordable housing project in Hinckley called Lady Luck Estates. We're finishing another affordable housing project in Onamia called Red Willow Estates. And we're working on a third one, which we're slated to be done the end of next year, which is Sugar Maple Crossings. And we have 2 or 3 more in the pipeline that we're working on as providing affordable housing to our associates. So from a transportation kind of perspective, obviously it's really important that we have adequate transportation for our folks to get to our businesses to work, and also their homes that we create, but also having good transportation networks helps us get points in order to get tax credits to build affordable housing. When we don't have adequate public transportation, we are not able to garner those points, and it puts us at a disadvantage for other communities or areas in Minnesota in competition for those tax credits every year. So obviously building up transportation, especially public transportation options, I think is critically important where we can, especially for our folks who are, living in our housing developments and working in our businesses. Unfortunately, I don't know many of you, so I don't think I can really answer the last one, but definitely look forward to hearing about what all you do. So thank you.
And that's why I'm glad that you're here and get a chance to get to know who's on the board here, and especially those who service the areas that you have your housing developments in, that maybe will allow you to have more one-on-one conversation with them because you get to know who they are. Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. Jeanette, hi.
Hi,
How are you today?
good.
You want to answer the questions that are up on the board?
Sure. I'm also a public interest representative to the RDC board. I'm from Pine County. I'm retired. but previously I was on the East Central School Board for 31 years. I was the executive director of Phase for 25 years. They've changed a great deal. And my building, which I called my building, because I was executive director when we built it in sandstone to serve the Pine County and surrounding areas, is now a public library.
Hmm.
And Phase is in their other building, which was previously a grocery store. And we've owned it since, or they have owned it since quite a few years. I'm not sure exactly which year. Did I say everything?
Well, I'm wondering how transportation affects you. I mean, are you using transportation services in Pine County, Sandstone?
I am not, but I still drive, and I have a car. So now, right now, I am not in need of transportation, but I'm sure that I will be at some point. How's that?
That sounds good. I just want to make sure that you feel comfortable and, you know, because, and that there's some available services for you and others that you know may need it. And that's what we're all here for, is to find out
Right.
where our gaps are and such like that. Thank you,
Right.
Jeanette. Glad to
I
have you
worked
here.
extensively with transportation, obviously, when I was at Phase. Writing grants for 5310 vehicles and various other transportation needs of our clients.
Mhm. Well, Tim couldn't be here today, so you're our industries, our phase representative. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Well, Mr. Voss, hello. You want to give us a little help? How was your vacation?
Good, good. Got some fish up there and got it home safely,
Good.
which is a trick, but it was good. Alaska's a beautiful state. So,
Good. Glad to have you
yeah.
back.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I'm Bob Voss. I'm the executive director here at the RDC, and I'm kind of charged with watching over all of the pots on the stove here: economic development, community development, and transportation in our region. And transportation touches about every aspect of the work we do here, whether it's, you know, workforce or, you know, economic development, you know, the whole transporting of goods and raw material and finished product out of the region, and you know, the schools, the healthcare, tourism, you know, just about every aspect of the planning work we do here has some transportation component to it. So it's vitally important for our region here, and making the connections between the different modes helps our communities better plan and kind of improve you know, how people get around and that kind of stuff. So this is a very important piece of work that we do, and I appreciate everybody's willingness to participate on this committee and help us work toward making the system work better for us. So I don't have a whole lot to add other than you know, we're what are we on our 5th year here with the RTCC now, or I think it's 6th is, yeah, this is the start of our 6th year. So I've seen a lot of good things happen, a lot of good networks. People are starting to talk together more now about this problem. I know the original purpose of the committee was to try and get at some of the transportation disadvantaged groups, and I think we've come a long way with those efforts as well. So thanks everybody for joining in and helping us move the ball on this. That's That's what I have. So
Okay.
thank you, committee members, for being quickly put on the committee. The RTC board members here that were put on this too. That was we're
Well,
always appreciative.
it's really important that we have a well-rounded group that encompasses the whole region, and the RDC board does that. And so that's why I'm really happy to have you all on here today.
And I'm kind of anxious, you know, too, to see, you know, how our connections with MnDOT, you know, with, you know, some of the federal transportation dollars and how we assist with prioritizing those, you know, maybe down the future can assist with some of the efforts that we want to move ahead in with this group as well. So we'll keep an eye out for that kind of stuff.
Great.
Yep.
Thanks, Bob.
Yep.
Okay.
I just wanted to add to Bob, you know, as far as his vacation, I wanted to make sure that he had kept some of that halibut in the freezer until our next meeting.
Yeah, I've got a few packages of it, but they weren't big ones this time. So
All right.
nonetheless, they're very
yeah.
tasty.
All right. I'm gonna quickly move on here to we'll do Monique, and then Angela, Rebecca, and I'm going to end with Michelle Lichtig, because then she can lead into her discussion that she's got planned for this meeting. So Monique, hello, how are you?
Hi, good morning. Hi, my internet is a little sketchy, so I'm choosing to leave off the video so I don't get disconnected. So anywho, I am the RSVP Associate Director, and I cover East Central Minnesota, the 5 counties. And we place volunteers, match them with nonprofits and government entities, with a wide array of different volunteer opportunities. We do, for our volunteers, struggle as everybody else to try to recruit volunteers that will drive. We used to have a good handful of those kind of volunteers, but the past several years, with the big leap in gas prices several years ago, we saw a big drop in volunteer drivers. We do offer mileage reimbursement for our volunteers to drive from their home to the volunteer opportunity and back. And we had last quarter 278 volunteers claim reimbursement. I've had volunteers tell me that they really don't need the reimbursement, yet then some of them go ahead and take it anyway just because it's there. So what it does is it provides less opportunity for those that really need that out-of-pocket assistance. The more volunteers that are claiming those reimbursements, the less per mile is paid out. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I've got a call here I can't shut off. Anywho, so as far as transportation, personally, I do drive, and I do use public transportation on occasion when I have to drop my vehicle off for repair. So I have utilized public transportation in that aspect, and it's really been a lifesaver. I mean, there's times where you have to get dropped off at say McDonald's and wait an hour for another bus, but I live out in the country, so for me that's worth the wait. So other than that, I'm kind of anxious to hear what's up, of what you can share with the what is the train system, Karen?
Yeah,
the Northern Lights Express. So anywho, that's all for me.
yeah, we'll get into that a little bit in a little bit. That sounds great.
Great.
Thanks, Monique. So good to hear your voice again. Let's see here. What do we? Oh, Angela, and then Rebecca, and then Michelle. So Angela, hello.
Hello.
Hi. Welcome.
Oh, hi. So I'm Angela Gamagala. I'm a dispatcher scheduler for Attaboy's Transit. I was a driver last time I was here, but I'm moved to the office now.
Okay.
So yeah, in the transition period here, we've been just kind of looking at things that we discussed last time at the meeting, I think we looked into the 5310 grant and contacted Sue Seamers at the state, but we haven't heard, I haven't been too active on trying to get back into researching that. I think we passed the deadline for the grant for when it started was 2021 was the end date of the application period. So we were just looking at that, but yeah, otherwise it's something we were hoping to use or to get information out if there was another opportunity for that grant to be used for a company.
Let's work together possibly on that. Maybe there's a way we can connect. Will you be at the county fair this year with us, or because
Yes.
that's great, because
Yep.
that'll give us a good chance to talk, okay?
Right. We're looking forward to that. We're finding some volunteers to take some time at the tables there. And I think I'll be there a little bit if I'm not in the office here. We're just
I
trying to
hope
find time to
so. I hope
divvy
we
up
can.
between us.
Yeah, I hope we can have a discussion with you, especially, even if there's only an hour that you could set aside to come over to the fair. It would be really helpful, I think, for all of us to learn, what it is you need and what we can do to help. And I think
Sure.
that this call too will introduce you to Michelle Lichtig in a minute. And she's at MnDOT, and she also may be of some help as to maybe even connect you to somebody. Sue is the one that we've always worked with the 5310 program, but maybe there's something else out there at MnDOT too that could be of help. There's an awful lot of help out there right now with transportations.
Wonderful. Yeah, our company is growing. We're getting new drivers quite a bit, and the applicants are getting to be really good quality applicants that we found. So that's a very positive thing. We are buying more cars for the fleet, and kind of renewing the cars that we have that are not as good on fuel. And like last time I discussed, maybe, I do an Amish cab on the side besides my work with the company here, but it's kind of a nice startup because it's not just for Amish, it's for any large groups that want to use the bigger vehicles for a driver for hire kind of situation or something like that. And it's becoming more public transportation, whereas before it was just like, a single group that wants to use it. Now I can cart people around and kind of go on a route and use that vehicle for other uses in my own community, not so much out of state. So
Right.
that's what, yeah.
Fabulous. That's a wonderful service to offer. Like I said, I really want to talk to you further, and I've got a lot of questions for you, and I want to learn more. So either we're going to talk at the county fair, or I'm going to grab you for a meeting one of these days.
Sure thing.
Awesome, Angela. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Rebecca, hello.
Hi, good morning. I'm Rebecca Brody, and I'm a business service coordinator for Central Minnesota Jobs and Training Services. And as an organization, we are an employment and training provider in 11 counties across central Minnesota. So we work with job seekers and the workforce. And so that's, kind of a important thing for transportation is important for people to get to work, of course. And so we've been involved with the committee here for off and on for a number of years. And so we have kind of a vested interest in workforce transportation, which sometimes fits and sometimes doesn't fit with all of what you do. But good to be here. In my work, I actually work more with businesses directly in helping them to find the workers they need, hopefully connecting them with job seekers we're working with, but also helping them find the resources that they need to grow, to sustain. We can provide them also with some training opportunities for their existing workforce to upskill and be retained. And so that's kind of what I do in my work. I do that across the 5 county areas here in East Central Minnesota. So transportation is important to me in my day-to-day job. Thankfully, I am able to drive and have transportation. Sometimes the you know, car repairs get a little wonky, you never know, but still able to get around. And then, of course, as I mentioned, our agency crosses 11 counties in central Minnesota. So while I don't have to drive to Wilmer and Hutchinson on a regular basis, we do cover a large geographical area. So that's how transportation is important, I guess, in my work. I do go out and about into different communities on a day-to-day basis, kind of wherever I'm needed for what's going on or for meeting with businesses. And then secretly, I really love using public transportation. So I have kind of a personal interest too. If I go to a city that, not so much Minneapolis, but if I'm traveling and I'm in a city that has transportation, I actually kind of go out of my way to use it. Or sometimes on vacations, taking my kids on the metro because, hey, you should ride the metro. It's kind of cool. So I do enjoy that. It's kind of a weird secret hobby, I guess. I use room transportation fairly often if I have the opportunity to travel, especially if it's just me, or if many years past when I was able to travel some for work, I often use that to get to the airport. I live in rural Pine County outside of Sandstone, so it's nice to have that opportunity to not drive yourself or to drive yourself back when you're tired. And then, yeah, so I guess, like I said, I live in rural Pine County, so getting around is important. I'm busy. I enjoy being busy, so I'm thankful that I do have my own transportation to get places I want to go. And where I live, if I didn't have that, I really would be kind of homebound, you know. So I think it's, you know, not only helpful, as many people have said here today, to be looking at transportation options for specific causes, but just, you know, what else can be there for when people need it. So thanks for having me.
Thanks, Rebecca. No, I'm glad you brought up Groom because there's a lot of folks that aren't aware of that. And I've been trying to find a contact with them to get them involved with us again. And we had someone for a little while and then lost them. I don't know if they left the business or what, but they're a great transportation service that can get you to and from the airport, and they travel to and from Duluth to the airport, and you always see them at Toby's. I mean, every time it seems like we're at Toby's, they're at Toby's picking people up. So very handy. If anybody's interested in learning more about that, let me know, and we'll also hopefully have some information, whether or not it's new or not. We'll be having some information at the county fair about that too. So. Great. Well, thank you, everybody. I appreciate everybody's input and updates and all of that. And I think now we're ready to move on. I'm going to move everybody over here. So I'm going to put you in the corner. And I would like to ask Michelle Lichtig if she would do her presentation and introduction. And I will stop sharing and allow Michelle Thomas to share her screen that has the slides that Michelle Lichtig sent. Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you. So you're going to have a little bookend here of Michelle and Michelle. So the great thing about going last in these introductions is, one, I have learned so much from all of you, and also have some insight into some work that maybe I can do to support or to answer some of the questions that came up. I appreciated, Bonnie, how you framed the Jefferson line issue. That was really succinct about the offering of Jefferson line, but how you need to figure out how to get that coordination and collaboration about the on-demand type of activity. You know, that speaks to the core of what mobility management is all about, and the collaboration. It's a key part of our work. And Rebecca, I'm a geek just like you. If I have an opportunity in a new city to take transportation, I take it. Many years ago, I was in New York, and just to jump on a bus and let's just see where that bus takes you. Or San Francisco, I'm that kind of a person. I live in an urban area. The other day, one of our cars was in the repair shop, and I had scheduled lunch with a friend of mine, and I thought, wait a minute, I don't even know how I'm going to get there. Well, of course I do. I can take the bus. So bus transportation has been in my life, but when I drill down to why this work is such a passion for me, when I talk about transportation access and really access for people who are challenged by this, what I have a vision of are the many kitchen tables that I have sat at. I used to be a coordinator for home and community-based organizations in the Twin Cities, and working with individuals to get them basically from here to there. And we're talking about the world of over 10 years ago, where the barriers were significant. And in the metro area, obviously Minneapolis and St. Paul are in 2 different counties, but people's lives transcend boundaries, but often transportation doesn't. And so it was a real struggle to make sure that people had the quality of life to reach the services that they needed to reach to overcome those types of barriers. So these conversations always bring me back to the root of individuals who were trying to get the best out of life and often were stymied by transportation. So that's the probably you're all part of that cohort. Hearing that the stories from all of you further drives the fact that your region does understand this. They are committed to this transportation access. So today, what I wanted to do for some of you, this might be parts of this presentation might be a review. And for others, welcome to the world of mobility management as newer members to the East Central RTCC. So I'm ready to move to the next slide. What I want to do in today's presentation is to, I'm going to turn off my camera here because I might get not great connection here. But what I would like, speaking of connection, what I want to do is share with you, you're going to hear in these meetings how we might be talking about this entity or that entity or the RTCC, the Minnesota Council on Transportation Access, MnDOT, federal government. Are we all kind of trying to speak the same language? Are we all working together towards the same outcomes? This is the connection that I want to make, that yes, indeed, we have some very central goals and significant focus on this. And this is most importantly represented in the, when you drill down into the East Central RTCC work plan. So that's what I want to make sure that you understand, and that we understand that how this is all connected so that we can make the difference and improve the collaboration in your community. So if we look at the state level, we have the Minnesota Council on Transportation Access, which was a legislatively designated council in 2010. And this was to bring together the various state agencies that either have transportation concerns or are transportation funding sources for different types of transportation, such as the Department of Human Services, which pays for transportation through the waiver system. We had a conversation just as part of this morning where you heard how Kanabec County is seeking a Title III grant for some transportation. Well, that comes, those are federal dollars that are brought through the Board on Aging, and they're a member of the Minnesota Council on Transportation Access. And those dollars that come from the federal government through the Board on Aging then moves out onto the area agencies on aging so that they can look at opportunities in their community for grant recipients. So that's how it kind of all flows. I'd like to say we're definitely singing exactly the same tune, but I will say we're in the same choir at least. So the Minnesota Council on Transportation Access, we meet every other month, and all of you that are on this meeting, if you are interested in attending these meetings or even just seeing our agenda, I'll pop in my email address here and we will send out a meeting notice to you. Likewise, we have a quarterly newsletter. So this is kind of a good way to see how does this piece of work that's happening in the state when we're working with our state agencies connect up with your work? So I'll put that into the chat in a moment. I'm ready for the next slide. So we're talking about a lot of different moving parts here, but we're all focused on transportation coordination. So I just shared with you about the Minnesota Council on Transportation Access. And then the Minnesota Department of Transportation is involved, and we're involved for the reason of the funding source. So the Regional Transportation Coordinating Councils, RTCCs, come through a federal funding source. And that funding source can be used for transit. But in 2017, there were the local coordination plans that said, gee, all of you who came together in different parts of the state said, we need to be looking at transportation coordination. That allows us to use those $5310 for coordination. Those dollars cover 80% of the cost, and your organization covers 10% of the cost through the RDCs, working back with the county for support. And then MnDOT, out of their general funds, they're covering the other 10%. And that's why we're a significant partner in this effort. So in the metro area, we have the Regional Transportation Coordinating Councils, RTCCs. And then in greater Minnesota, and in the metro area, we have TCAPs, which is the Transit Coordination Assistance Projects. Together, the RTCCs and the TCAPs come together and meet and form what we call mobility managers. And this is an opportunity how they come together, learn from each other in their regions, and share best practices. I'm ready for the next slide. So remember I said that we're all part, at least in the same choir? Well, this is the song that we sing. We look at the vision. We're all sharing this vision of access to coordinated transportation. And the mission that we're all driving towards is that to remove obstacles that prevent successful coordination of transportation. So what every day, all the mobility managers, Karen and Michelle as well, are looking at these three circles. This is what really drives it. What are the gaps? And a lot of you in your opening comments, I appreciated what you shared. What are the gaps? You identified some gaps. You also talked about, boy, if we could streamline this, that would be great. And you also talked about, wow, if we could have these options, that would be great. So there, you understand our Venn diagram here and participating in that vision and mission. I'm ready for the next slide. So when we talk about transportation coordination and access, we're talking about mobility management. And mobility management is transportation that start and end with the customer. We're really looking at those individual and community needs. So one of the best ways to think about the work that all of you are doing is these three pictures. So if you walk away today and say, gee, I'm on this RTCC group here, and what are you doing? And hopefully these visuals will help you. So I'm ready for the next slide. And I think some of you have heard this. I've shared this before. To me, this is a dynamic visual. We are looking at this lollipop. We're all coming together here because we know that the transportation need, which is the lollipop, exceeds the resources, which is the stick. And we're not going to see a growth in that stick, but we can leverage and make better use of those resources. And that's where the coordination comes in. So that's really the key point of the need will get bigger, the stick might get smaller, but there's room for collaboration and there's room for leveraging the resources that we have. So I'm ready for the next slide. So people will say, hey, making any progress in this group coming together? Bob, I really appreciated, Bob, your comments. We've been coming together from start to this point over a 6-year period. So what have we been doing? We have been building the root structure. And I often liken it to a prairie grass where every inch above the surface, there's a foot of prairie grass underneath. And that rooting is what all of you are taking in. You're looking at issues, and then the above part is the coordination or the bringing together or the finding of a solution or making that important connection. But that doesn't happen unless people come together over time and bringing in the diversity of perspectives in the community and organizations. So just to let you know, the root structure is all of these different types of organizations and agencies and businesses. And again, today's introductions was a great reflection of that. So when we talk about what is mobility management, it's an approach to designing and delivering transportation services that start and ends with the customer. It begins with the community vision in which the entire transportation network is at the table. So, and the entire transportation network and those who need it. So all of you come together, you're typically not in meetings together. You usually don't come together quite in this way. And that's what's so unique about the RTCC effort. It brings together constituencies that may have the need with the providers and really from different veins of work. I'm ready for the next slide. So who is being supported? And the supporting part is we're really looking at people who need access. Those that are in the middle of this bell curve, they're doing pretty well. They've got their own car, they have family, they're not in the need of the transportation. So mobility management is not about serving the greatest number of people. It's about serving people with the greatest need. And that's a whole flip when you think about coordination. It is the very hard, challenging situations that are at the end of the Venn diagram. And I may have shared this with you before, but we had a situation where we had an urban and a greater Minnesota county that abut each other. And there were two people that had to figure out how to get to work from one county to the next, and those lovely barriers there. And how are we going to work that out? So between the TCAP and the RTCC, they had some discussion, they figured it out. How could we move this bus stop? How could we make this accommodation work? That brought the ability for two people to be able to work and have an independent life. And that may not sound like a big thing, but it certainly was a big deal in these two individuals' lives. So it's a very challenging work that all of you are engaged in. So I'm ready for the next slide. Karen is probably going to go into this a little bit more, but we've asked all the RTCCs and all the TCAPs to look at these areas for their work plan. And we've asked all the RTCCs to address these issues, but we're not asking all the RTCCs to address these in the same way because your communities are different. And likewise, the emphasis on some of these issues may be a little bit different in your community, depending upon the resources or the need of the community. But because all the RTCCs and TCAPs are different, the approach is different, but that's where some of the best practices come out too, as the RTCCs and TCAPs network through all of this. So you'll be hearing a little bit more about this work plan. This is the same work plan or the same focus areas, generally the same focus areas that we've asked the RTCCs and TCAPs to work on in the last 2 years. And that's because it's work that's never done, but the outcomes and their activities that happen in these areas do change, develop, and grow. So we're not looking at a work plan that we want you to do one thing 1 year and then go, oh, no, we're going to switch in and do something else. This is about the growth and continuation of moving towards change. So we really want to establish these focus areas, and they are focus areas over a long time. I'm ready for the next slide. So now what? So what? I mentioned that we we get federal dollars for these types of activities. And so what happens on the federal level, and how are we aligned with the federal activity? So there is a coordinating council on access and mobility called CCAM that is comes out of the federal agencies. So I'm ready for the next slide. So CCAM, somewhat what I explained about MCOTA, and on the federal level, there's many state agencies that come together that are looking at transportation issues. And these organizations, or these agencies as well, are responsible for transportation, or they fund transportation, or they're agencies that serve a population that have a transportation need. And so they're all coming together to looking at some of the same issues from the same perspective that's happening both at our state level and within the individual RTCCs, serving the same communities and populations of individuals with disabilities, older adults, and individuals of low income. And they're focusing on availability, accessibility, and efficiency. And very similar to the bubbles that we had talked about, they just call it out a little bit differently. So CCAM has been around since 2004 and was established in 2004 by President Bush. I'm ready for the next slide. And so this is a little bit more, these are always very nice to have these visuals of the efficiency, that efficiency being, if not to have 2 or 3 vans from different agencies circulating in a neighborhood where then nobody has anything, right? So, how can we make best use of what we have so there's not too much overlap at the expense of other communities not having it? Obviously, accessibility and the availability and accessing. So I'm ready for the next slide. So what's been interesting about CCAM is that they've been doing some inventory of organizations and within the federal government, agencies within the federal government, and they've identified 130 programs that support transportation. So one of the things to think about then is, how are those dollars, how well are we coordinating what's happening in the federal level? How well is that being accessed then within our state agencies, and then from our state agencies down to our regional work? And so that's the future of some of the work that we will be working on through the Minnesota Council on Transportation Access. We're ready for the next slide. So CCAM right now is going through a strategic plan, and likewise MCOTA is going through updating their strategic plan. So these are some of the core parts of their values that they've identified in their upcoming strategic plan, which is very similar to what we currently have at MCOTA, but what we will probably be looking at again to identify in our upcoming strategic plan. I'm ready for the next slide. In the CCAM, they have 3 goals that they're focusing on, and that's to strengthen and improve collaboration and development of safer and more accessible transportation. And they're starting to look at policies that impede transportation. So some of those federal policies that impede transportation coordination affect us. So this is a good thing that they're doing. So it's very important that what we're also looking at policies that are impeding transportation. So let's call one out. Karen has been so active and has been a real leader in the volunteer driver reimbursement issue, and that's something that's set actually in federal legislation. That's a classic situation where that's happening at the federal level and it trickles down and it impacts us in the state level. So ready for the next slide. So what we are going to be seeing, and you're going to be hearing about this, so stay tuned, maybe sign up for our newsletter and our the MCOTA newsletter and so forth. We have been selected by FTA to receive some wonderful technical assistance in developing and ensuring that we're having this alignment, and also helping us work with our state agencies to see how we can leverage additional support for transportation work. Through FTA, they have, they're working with 2 states, and Minnesota was selected to be one of them. So this is a real opportunity for us to further enhance our relationship both with the federal government, with this, and with state agencies, which will then connect up with the work that we're doing with the RTCCs and TCAPs. Ready for the next slide? And I'm pretty sure I'm coming back to the end, because all of this matters, because we want to make sure that the individual RTCCs and our state network of RTCCs and TCAPs will benefit from this coordination. And I think the next slide. And that's my contact information.
There were a couple of notifications in the chat. Michelle, you asked specific people to send you their information, and so here's Michelle's email
Great.
that you can send
Great.
to.
Thanks for telling me. You know, it's one of those classic things when you do a presentation, you're not looking at chat. So thank you, Michelle, for telling me that. And I'll check here too as well. Thank you.
Yeah, I would like everybody to make sure that they do check the chat, because there are some questions in there for one another, and that's awesome that you're talking to each other. Well, thank you, Michelle. That was a great overview. And just to let those folks know who are new here, we're just one of how many? 9, 8, 7 RTCCs around the whole state. The whole state should be covered, but there are different situations in different regions that cause there to be some issues with having an RTCC, most likely the match situation, because there aren't RDCs in all of the regions in the state. And then the TCAPs are the match, or what not, I'm gonna say match, are the, what would be the word? Would be like it RTCC, but they're in the urban areas of Minnesota, the Minneapolis and St. Paul. So that's the difference between a TCAP and the RTCCs, and the RTCCs are in greater Minnesota. Okay. All right, well, we were going to try to be done by 10 o'clock, but I'm just gonna whiz through, and we are gonna get done by 10:30. So I'm gonna kind of whiz through the next portion of this, and please stop me if you have any questions. I'm going to share my screen back onto the PowerPoint. I just want everybody to realize that all of our meetings now are posted on the eastcentraltransit.com website. So let me go to the next slide. I'm going to show you something. This is what the ECR, or the eastcentraltransit.com website looks like. And if you are looking for, oh heck, hang on a minute. If you go, okay, I'm going to go there. So if you're looking for the notes from all of the meetings, let me just first go through this quickly with you. So if you're looking for providers in our region, they're all on here by category, alphabetical. It's printable, and it's printable and foldable. So you can print this up. You can, however you want to do it. We also have hard copies in the office as well. I can send them to you if you want any. Volunteer driving, there's information here. And we're always looking for volunteer drivers, of course. Charging stations are all listed here. We try to keep them up to date. If you happen to notice that something's missing, please let us know. We can add to the list. Meeting information right here. So all of the notes from September 8th, 2022, all the way to July 3rd, 2023 are all on here. Granted, there were more from back further, but also on this page, you can see all of our radio broadcasts that we've had, all of the interviews and such. are on here. Here they are again. As all these different categories, so you might want to dig around in here a little bit. Our 2022 local human services transit coordination plan is here. You can take a look at this, and it's many pages. You can open that up and learn all about that, which is how we came up with or how it has been decided that all of our tasks and our focuses areas are from this local human transportation coordination plan. So it all kind of goes hand in hand. It works out really well together, and we have good reason for what we're working on. Here are some links to other RTCCs and to all of the, here's all the region RTCCs, TCAPs, and other, here's MCODA, and Code Red if you're looking for any emergency preparedness information, and our contact information, and the news, of course, is all the stuff that's new stuff on our website as well as on our Facebook page. So lots of good stuff on our website if you get a chance to take a look at it, ecentraltransit.com. Okay, let me see if I get back to, let's bring that up. Okay, that was kind of a fun little ride. The next thing I wanted to mention to you is, and you'll get these slides. Here's a MCODA website, which I said was on our website as well. You can click on that, coordinate mntransit.org. And then I want to quickly just talk a short bit about Northern Lights Express. There's a website that they have here. I'm going to click on that. You can see what it looks like. They are right now thanking everybody for their support and what has gone through. It's coming. No, it's definitely coming. The stops will be in Cambridge, in our region, in Cambridge and in Hinckley. This stop in Sandstone, I think, is more of a for maintenance. It isn't a stop for passengers to stop at this point. You know, we can't have too many stops, or it's going to take too long to get to Duluth and nobody's going to ride it, right? So it goes 90 miles an hour at certain areas, and it travels all the way from Minneapolis to Duluth. And then from Minneapolis, you can get other places, which can take you to Wisconsin and Michigan or down to Chicago. I mean, it's just a great connector. I'm really going out of order here, but I just want to make sure that you know that we did meet. Michelle and I met with some folks in Hinckley and also in Cambridge, the city administrators, to find out what they're thinking of and kind of getting on their radar so that we're involved. We are able to be involved in any planning that takes place, and we're aware, so we can make you all aware of what is happening. And right now in Hinckley, they're still considering where the stop is going to be. And Michelle and I are going up to Duluth on Monday morning at 9 a.m. And we're going to be at a NLX meeting in Duluth on Monday morning. So we'll learn more there. And, you know, I'm just going to throw it out there that I believe that the communities, not the communities, but the cities, the city administrators and the city boards should be able to make their voice known as to where they feel that this transportation station should be. Obviously, it's pretty well figured out that in Cambridge is going to be at the city center in Cambridge. I mean, it's the perfect spot for it. But, you know, there's a lot of questions that have to do with other entities that are using the train lines in Cambridge at the same time. And so there's a lot of questions that we.
And Hinckley has multiple locations that could be used. Cambridge does not. Yep.
Yeah, right. But there's other questions with the Cambridge area that, you know, having to do with federated propane and such like that. So All right, so this site is one that I'd like you to be aware of. There's another one here, is a high-speed rail alliance. And this is where a possible connection would be for somebody who's taking the train to Minneapolis can then take this high-speed rail in Michigan. I mean, like I said, it's just a connector to be able to take you all over the country. And this is the future, I think. I mean, it sounds like you're going back in time because trains were used before, but they're fun. And you can leave the driving to them, and they're cool. So, and I feel the same way about taking public transit in other states and such, because I've done it too. And in Europe, you get on the tube, and in England, and it's just the way it is there. And it isn't that way here yet. So try it. Take a double-decker bus if you go to England. I mean, it's what you do. So anyway, all right. Let's go back to. All right, I'm gonna go to the next slide. We might go through these rather quickly. The Kennebec County Fair is coming up. We will be there. We've asked all of our area providers to be there with us. So we've got TriCap, Timber Trails, Arrowhead, Attaboy Taxi, Jefferson Lines. We'll probably have information from Groom, whether, like I said, it's new or old, I don't know for sure. We have NLX that's going to be there, so you can come and ask questions. They will be there the entire time, just like they were last year. And then on Saturday at 2 o'clock on the 29th of July, there will be a little seminar there for about an hour or so to talk about emergency preparedness. And Helen Piper's she's one of those preparedness people. She knows what to do in case of an emergency.
She's the local expert.
Yeah, so she'll be there. She's going to do this little presentation for us and answer questions and tell you what you need to have in your car in the winter, in the, in case of any emergency, what you need to have. It's a 5-gallon bucket and it's full of everything you need. And once it's empty, you can use it as a porta potty. I mean, it's just good stuff to know. Okay, moving forward here, and please ask any
Karen,
questions.
Do you know what time Helen presents on the 29th?
2 o'clock.
Thank you.
Yep, it's here, I'll show you. And this slide right here, it has it on the very bottom. So when you get these slides, you'll be able to open this up. It's the fair is Thursday through Sunday. And down here on the bottom, number 7, or 7th reason you should visit us at the fair is you'll get information from Helen Piper on the 29th at 2 o'clock in our building. And we have our own building. It's the Boy Scout building. It'll say transportation building, transit building on the outside. It's right across from the food area where people will be eating and get something to eat, and come and see us and talk to us. And we'd love to have you there. We'd love to visit with you. Let's see, we kind of did some updates already. But I was wondering if Julia or Bonnie or I don't have anybody from TriCap on here, or Timber Trails right now, unless Kathy's still on. But does anybody have any updates you would like to give us about what's happening with your volunteer driver services, or what's happening, any new routes or anything new? I'm gonna put Julia on the spot. Sorry.
So we don't have much new going on with routing and stuff. We are gonna be reinitiating our service design. Redesign for Isani and Chisago counties, since it got put on hold when the company mandated the vaccine. So we're gonna restart that back up again. So we're gonna be redoing the surveys and the meetings and all that. Otherwise, we're doing pretty good with drivers finally. We still need some in Pine County. But the volunteer drivers, it's hard for everybody. I don't know too much about that end of it, but I do know we're in the same place everybody else is. We need drivers. About all I have. You don't have any questions for me?
Well, hopefully that our time at the fair will open up some folks' eyes. And Michelle and I are going to be at a lot of different events around the region. So we'll want your information, some of your brochures or please, or whatever you've got. Anybody here, we'll be happy to distribute whatever you would like us to at any of the events that we go to, okay?
Oh, yeah, I'll be bringing lots of brochures with to the fair, so.
Okay, I might
You
grab your
can take
extra.
whatever we have extra if you want. so.
Will do.
Perfect.
Anybody else have anything you want to add? Anything you would like to share with the group? Okay.
Thank you. Quite informative.
Yeah. I also have a few things as far as the ECRTCC. And it's on your agenda. I just want you to be aware of a volunteer driver forum series, Lunch and Learn. It's coming up, and like I said, it is on your agenda on July 27th. Now, for some of you, you might not understand what MAAS is. It's MAAS, Mobility as a Service. It's kind of described as the technology of transportation, whereby a person could utilize their phone and find transit services, schedules and routes and such, and also could be used for payment. It's how else would you describe it? It's actually a service that's going on down in southern Minnesota. They have this technology. They're doing a pilot program down there, and TRICAP is involved in this pilot program. And so they come up into our region and they're utilizing a lot of that MAAS service in their in Mille Lacs County, different parts of that service. So it's coming, and it's quite exciting, so that you would be able to be connected to any services that are available, including NLX and public transit and private transit, but it takes a while. And I know it can't happen fast enough for some of us, but we have to realize that we have to take it one step at a time. There was talk about that at a little meeting I was at yesterday, and it's like, well, they're only doing public transit. They're not using volunteer drivers yet. Well, yeah, that's true. It's not helping volunteer drivers yet, but it will. So, let's see what else. We talked about the NLX. And then the next thing we need to do with that is we need to have a meeting with Greg Mathis, who's at MnDOT, and he's on the transit board for the rail. And so we need to go to him and to ask him some questions and get some answers and kind of let him know who we are and start a relationship with him. Let's see here, where am I? We did our updates already. That's great. And a couple last things is we've got a radio broadcast coming up in this month with Jill Brown of NLX. I don't have the date yet. I haven't heard back from Robin Preby or Robin Riley from KBEK. It'll be sometime in the next week or so that I believe that it will be airing, but a lot of questions about the NLX will be answered with that interview that we had with Jill Brown. And I'll send it out to everybody when I know exactly when it'll be. It'll be at 9 a.m. I'm sorry, it'll be about 8:45 one of these Fridays, the next few Fridays that we have. So, but I'll let you know when I know. And it'll also be on our website as soon as I get it, and I can transfer it into a YouTube video that I can put online. And I need an interviewee for August, and I'm not sure if possibly Bonnie might be interested. I think we lost her. I'm going to be asking if anybody, Angela, if you'd like to be on the radio with me, I would love to talk to you on the radio. So just so that we can have some, new voices on, and I don't know if Attaboy's never been on the radio with me, so I think it might be kind of fun. So Angela, I'll get in touch.
And Angela, it doesn't have to be you. It could be somebody else from your organization if
Kelly wants
if that would
to.
work better.
I've been talking to folks about trying to do it, so maybe if we can get some literature. I know we all got the email and looked it over, so hopefully we'll find somebody.
We'll work it out. Yeah, that'll be fun. And you can do it from wherever. You don't have to come into the station. And we'll talk about it ahead of time, so you don't have to be worried about it. And it is recorded. It's not live. So, okay. So I'll talk to you, Angela, about that later. The Kanabec County Fair, we already talked about, will be there all that time. And then St. Louis County, Michelle and I will be up at the St. Louis County Health and Human Services Conference. It's in October. And so we'll be talking transportation, and we've got a booth. Michelle Lichtig has set all this up for us. So we'll be talking about all the other RTCCs and ourselves as well, and MnDOT. And so we'll be up there doing that in Duluth. And then we'll be also we'll also be involved with other events like the Operation Community Connects and senior connections and expos and such like that. So we got a lot going on this year. Let me see, where am I here? So it's our promotion. Vehicle sharing is another part of what we're doing. And so we have really nothing to report on vehicle sharing right now, because we haven't really gotten anything any further with enterprise car rental. Michelle, do you have anything you can think of that we've worked on with car sharing? We're working on it.
I don't think,
Vehicle
yeah, I
sharing.
don't think anything to report from since our last meeting.
As far as I wish I knew what slide we were on, because I've got it.
You're on slide 12.
Oh, perfect. Okay. So we have a survey. Part of what we're working on is our hubs. And the hubs are not just the big train stations, which are destination or transfer stations. We are also working on the smaller hubs that could be a transfer station for any kind of transportation, whether it be public or private transportation or volunteer drivers. We are working on a survey, and we'll be bringing that as well to the county fair and to these other events that we're going to get more information from people about if they can get as far as they need to go, because of what was mentioned earlier, that our transportation providers don't all connect to one another. So there's a gap in between, and how do you get from there to there? And so if we could either get them connected together or find someone that will connect from one to the other, these are the things we're trying to find out about, so that we can move forward with a pilot program, and maybe just try it for a while, whether it be a transfer station or something else. So we have a survey we're working on, so that is on our website, and as well as on our Facebook page. So that's well, let me think here. Where am I here? Volunteer drivers. We're going to be recruiting volunteer drivers at the county fair. We have a lot of staff training that we're doing, capacity building, and mobility management. Integration. We're always trying to find out more about broadband and what's happening with broadband in our region. We have our meetings with multi-regional mobility management, and the emergency preparedness and awareness planning. That's kind of on the back burner right now. We've got a lot going on. But of course, as we mentioned, that Helen's going to be talking about that at the county fair. We are always participating with MCOTA, and we encourage you to also participate, or at least be a fly on the wall at the MCOTA meetings. And you've got the website. It gives you when the next meetings are, and it talks about past meetings and agendas and minutes and all of that. And as well as we've got those lunch and learns, like the next one coming up about the mobility as a service. I recommend and I will send that out to you all too, so you can tune into that Zoom meeting, and it's an hour long from noon to 1. And it's really good information. Elliot McFadden is really knowledgeable about Moss, and it's just something that will just broaden your mind a little bit. We talked about the mileage reimbursement legislation. That's another thing that's being worked on right now. And I'm excited for that to be hopefully changing in the next year or so. Who knows? You know, it's got to go through federal legislation. But we've got Pete Stauber stomping his feet, and also I think Amy Klobuchar and Tina Smith. And so maybe Minnesota can make enough of a noise, but there is some paperwork that has, it shows all of the different supporters of it, and that it's on Stauber's website, and the list of outside Minnesota supporters is huge. So there's Montana and Alaska and Hawaii and all the states, it seems, are behind this. So we just got to make a lot of noise. Boy, anything else that we can, any questions? We kind of went through things rather quickly. Another thing that we're going to have at the county fair are highway maps. So it's another reason for you to stop by if you need a highway map, an actual highway map you can stick in your glove box. We'll have them there, so come and see us. We'd love to have a little bit of time to chat with you. So, Michelle, did I miss anything?
Nope, I think you hit all the highlights.
Okay. It was quick. My mouth is really dry. Anything anybody else would like to say? I just want to mention, don't forget to check the chat. And if you want any connections, if you need anything from Michelle or I, please don't hesitate to call or email. The phone numbers that you see up here and our websites, our email addresses those are our direct lines, our cell phone numbers. And please leave a message. If I don't recognize the number, sometimes I don't answer just because, you know, we don't know who people are. So once I have your number, then I'll put your name on it, and then I know who you are. So please feel free to call. All right. Well, I'm glad you're all still here. I know we got smaller. I thought that the meeting would go an hour, but I can't guarantee that. I'm gonna have to say an hour and a half. And we're right on time with the hour and a half. Look at that. We shaved a half hour off from last time. So this is good. I think an hour and a half every month and every 2 months is okay. Thank you for sticking with us. And I'll get this up on the website as soon as possible, and also let you know about that radio broadcast. But thanks for all you for supporting us and being here today. Thank you. Have a good day, everybody.
You too.
And a great weekend. It's going to be cool and nice.